Good morning to some people, good afternoon, good night to somebody. My name is Juan Rodas. Today we have defender for Oakland Roots, new team, Devante Dubose. Devante, how are you?
I'm good, man. Too blessed to be stressed. So
That's good. Well, to start off, Devante, I really want to appreciate your time for doing this, to take it out of your day and doing this for my channel. But thank you so much, and yeah, thank you.
thank you for having me. Honestly,
For sure. To start off, Devante, if you could tell us about your childhood and obviously like how you were saying you were born in Berkeley, but you grew up
yeah.
in Oakland. How was that?
I could definitely say being here now, being back in the Bay Area is totally different
Yeah.
times on so many different levels, but it's a blessing nonetheless. And being born in '92, um, born in Berkeley, but raised in Oakland, West Oakland. Started off right down there off near San Pablo area. It's a the place. If you compare it to now,
Yeah.
you wouldn't even recognize it. And I think a lot can find that discouraging, saying the Oakland or the Bay Area is not the same anymore. And like I said, it can be discouraging to others, but I feel like it's transformed its way to just almost expose the culture and light in the city,
Yeah.
but also shed light on the authenticity and rawness of Oakland, and some of the culture would never leave, and that's what I want people to know. Being a native from here, I've too have transformed with the change. Um, and I was raised in West Oakland. That's for about I'll say several years, and I moved to East Oakland, and that's when that time when you started to see the shift in crime started to to heighten, and there's a lot going on my street, for robberies and
Wow.
even like a couple of homicides, and that's when my house was on the news, and that's when my family, we moved to East Oakland, and into a little bit safer area until that too. So it was just a time that was tough for the city, and it's continued to evolve. But I think it's a part of who I am. It's a part of my culture. It's a part of surrounding myself with just obstacles. And I think soccer for me, once again, going back to even before me, my mom and my dad here when he played for the 49ers.
Wow.
And that's where I kind of, a lot of people, one, they say, oh, they see me as somebody athletic. So I kind of get those features from my dad, but also my mom was a very talented, sportswoman. And my dad played just a couple of years, for the Niners, and he came from a historical college, Nebraska, and he found his way to the Niners, and they took him in even though he was injured, and he was lucky enough to be on a Super Bowl winning team with Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, and for me, so me coming into this world immediately. It's even at a young age, I was a football guy at heart. I was an Oakland Raider, even though my dad was a Niner.
Raiders.
Yeah, I'm always at heart, and that's the essence of, I think, to bring all this to light of the transformation of our city, the transformation, whether people find it discouraging or not. The essence of Oakland and the Bay Area, is true grit, and that's a part of me that you know that I embrace. So my father, he's from the East Coast, and that's where he met my mom. And this is where me and my siblings came to be. And then I always, at that point, I had a seed of I wanted to become a professional athlete. At the time, I tried to follow football because that's what I knew myself. That's what I knew my surroundings with. That's what the culture was for me. And then soccer. My mom put me in soccer at an early age, and it like I've told others, it embraced me a totally different way than football did.
Yeah.
That I never understood. We can have conversations to say, well, how? But for me, it embraced me because as you probably know, how in all different parts of the world, soccer embraced me in a way where it's in a much loving way as far as it being a culture, and that's something I didn't understand. And I followed it. I followed it because that's what I felt. That's what I just gravitated towards. Was that love of the game.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where my path and everything thus far has been, through soccer. So.
For sure.
So
And then from you saying, that at a young age seeing homicides and all these different things in Oakland, do you think those were maybe some sacrifices that you've had to do or to get to where you are now? Well, obviously, you didn't want to see those things, but those are
right,
tough
yeah.
things that you go through, that not a lot of people
No,
do.
yeah, great question, Juan. I think you have to go through so many emotions. And when I say emotions, you have to, when you start to dream, when you start to want, when you start to want to start to manifest these things of a better life, they just don't fall into your lap. And sometimes we look at the predicament and situation that we're in, and a lot of times you say, why me?
Yeah.
And now looking back at those times, it's like, yeah, I would never wish those hard times. And I said those transformations, and a lot of people look at it as discouraging.
Yeah.
But for me, I look at it, you have to say you have to go through whatever life throws at you.
Yeah.
And if you can get through it, it takes support. It takes a lot of self-awareness. It takes, and that's very hard to do.
Yeah.
Especially in these circumstances. But for me, my family, my mother, and that little piece of me called curiosity, is something that continued to push me through. Because I seen a lot of these things. When I look back at it, and like, wow, I seen gangs running after each other and shooting after each other, and waking up, going to school, and there's some bullet holes, in my neighbor's car, and in my house, my house was robbed 3 to 4 times.
Wow.
So it definitely became normalized. But for me, I always asked why.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to find out what was the motive. What was in the core of these people?
Yeah.
And it's for me, going back to your point, like, how do you get? I just never turned into a hate, and I said I just never understood these people.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's led me to today is I constantly wanted to understand people, and that helped me understand myself.
Yeah.
And I think and that's something I'm continuing wanting. That's my purpose.
Yeah.
Now, that's why I'm in the position. I feel like I'm in the position I am today, because I'm wanting to continue to find out and understand as many people as I can in the situations. And now I understand, you have to get through a lot of things. You can't control everything. And I only can control what I consume into my body and my mind and my spirit, and then what I give out.
Exactly.
And hey, look what we have today, and this is only the beginning. And I think if that continues to be your drive, if this continues to be my motive, and like I said, there's going to be so many different environmental factors going to try to pull me away from that. But that's that resistance. We need resistance.
Yeah.
Resistance. You don't wish resistance upon anybody nor yourself, but you understand that when that resistance starts to come, you say, "Oh, something's challenging me to better myself."
Exactly.
And that's how I try to go about every day now.
Yeah.
So those times in the past, you have a better perspective and how to approach, and how to look at the past and say, "Hey, look, it's only for a betterment of society or a betterment for yourself to look at." So, and that's how I try to live my life every day. And so, yeah.
For sure. Something that we don't know about Devante?
Something that we don't know. Yeah, I think most people don't know that I'm pretty much as I am a West Coast kid, I definitely have a love and affection for the East Coast too.
Okay.
It's because at a young age, my father moved back to the East Coast with his family after my mother and them separated. So I was ever since I was 5, I was going there back and forth just for vacation a lot of times. And that's ultimately I went to school on the East Coast, college, Virginia Tech, as you can see. And there's something about those parts. Maybe because it's a little bit more nature out there. You see a lot more green trees. It's a lot more, it's a lot more thicker forestation. There's something about, I love being in those environments.
Mm-hmm.
So I am a kid, much as the West Coast, I claim, I'm very much so an East Coast kid too. So that's something that some people don't know, only a few people. So
for sure. And then we see that you wear the number 67, which is an odd number
for
a defender. But if you could talk to us about why you chose number 67.
Yes, Juan. Yeah, somebody just asked me the other day, and 67 is an odd number.
Yeah.
Actually, you say in the literal definition too, it is an odd number. And now that you bring up that it's an odd number, because for me, 67, for me now is rooted in being. Obviously, rooted means to the core. It means the essence, and being is, something that is to remain in the present moment as much as we can. Basically, whatever moment we're in, try to be mindful and aware, so we can take everything about what we're doing right now in the moment. So rooted in being is something I'm trying to live by. It's something that it's my journey up until today. It's my past, it's my present, and then hopefully it's optimism about my future.
Yeah.
So I really love wearing that on my back, because for me, when a kid looks at me, I want them to not only identify them as me being that good soccer player, that fast soccer player, because that's what athletes and those people in those situations do, but to look at me and see everything that came with it, to see everything that I struggle with, but everything that I became out of those.
Exactly.
So we talk about those obstacles and that healthy mindset and positivity, and that's what 67 for me means, and that's what my message and my purpose for playing is. Like I said, it's a whole nother meaning behind just being that soccer player, trying to achieve my own dreams. It's about the bigger picture, and that's that kid looking at that number, looking at me in a different light. So, so that's why I kind of rep it. It kind of gave you a couple different layers to it.
Yeah.
So it means rooted in being, positivity, and overcoming obstacles.
For sure.
I won't go too deep into the astrology of, the two numbers, but but for the most part, it's an odd number, and usually the odd ones of the bunch are the ones that stick out the most. And to harness that in the most positive way. Yeah.
For sure. Thank you for your input.
Of course.
If you weren't to be a soccer player, Devante, what would have been your profession?
Who knows? I don't know. But I can tell you what my other
plan was.
My other plans, at the time, and even things I continue to do. That's one thing about I've looked at growing up. Every extracurricular I was in, everything I took part in, my mother exposed me to about everything. And I still love music. I still make a lot of music.
Okay.
Just the production process of music has always been a therapy for me, to have a relationship with melodies and sounds. That's why I think soccer, it drives me the same way, because it is a beautiful game. It's a melody. It's a rhythm. So anything that involves rhythm, melody, connection, I am drawn to. So art. I love to be creative. So when I'm not creative on the field, music and writing, and training. Training other kids. I think being able to create environments that allow kids to be creative, and through soccer or through physical training, it is an art form for me. So I think that's, if I were to go another route, I think it would have to be, you can make up your own imagination, but I'll definitely be doing something creative, whether that's me trying to be a songwriter or a music producer or just a speaker of serving others of some way and somehow. That's what I've been doing. That's what I've been doing. If it just didn't identify itself with just playing soccer, that's what you really saw me. And who knows? I probably would have tried to pursue football. Who knows?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm guessing that's what you do in your free time, because obviously when you're not
exactly
training,
there you go.
that's what you do in your free time.
Exactly, all those things, right? I just answered 2 questions. those are all the things that I do on my free time.
Yeah.
Those are all things I do on my free time. If it weren't for those things, because most kids and most everybody, everybody wants to become a professional of some sort.
Yeah.
And you're going to dedicate a lot of time to try to become a profession, to become a professional.
Yeah.
And what happens is, Juan, and I'm pretty sure if you're obsessed or you wanted to be something so bad, you're going to do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And as a kid, at 7, I wanted to become a professional athlete, and I'm going to do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
But through that process, looking at it now, at what kept me going through that process, was so much more than just surround yourself with the ball. It became, music was something I did. Writing was something I always did. And speaking and helping others was something I always did.
Yeah.
But you never look at it and say, oh, those are things, maybe that's just like, you don't look at it like that. But now I would know what to do if I were to not do those things. I couldn't play. What basically I'm saying is, without those things, I don't know if I'll be the full soccer player I can be today if those other things don't drive me. Because once you totally immerse yourself in the game, and most people do, but for me and how I operate, when I'm on the field, those other things are with me too.
Yeah.
So and it's very important. It's very important to make sure you have other things that motivate you, just besides performing.
Exactly.
And that's important because you have a much greater love. And I think the greatest players, Ronaldinho and Didier Drogba, Messi, Ronaldo, they're very much so consumed by soccer. But at a certain point, you realize that it's something that they were in a whole nother different world. That and there's other things that came with it besides playing.
Exactly.
So yeah.
For sure. What is your favorite music and food? If you could talk to us about that.
Soul food.
Soul food.
So you're right. So soul food is any food that really, for me, that kind of brightens my soul. And most of the time, that's Southern food, right? People. I'm even discovering this myself as we speak. Most people even think that's Southern food, but looking at it, I say soul food not because of the actual Southern food, because I very much so, and nothing against my Southern genes and my Southern ancestors, but me and my girlfriend, our diet is a little different now, but so soul food to me is food that really that brightens my soul. And that can be any cuisine, as long as it is not saturated in processed ingredients. Then it's soul food for me.
Interesting.
So I love to cook. Everything authentic as much as I can. And it's so delicious. I've always been. That's another thing. Cooking. If you look on YouTube, when I was in Oklahoma City, I did a cooking segment. They asked me to do a cooking segment. I did it, and I did Jamaican curry. I did curry.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So all types of food, all types of cuisines, that are authentic and that goes down to culture. I love to consume. And I love to be a part of the process, and that's why I love cooking. I love cooking, dude. So that's my favorite thing. That's a favorite food. So it's not anything in particular. But as long if it tastes good and it's authentic, I would say, dang, this is the best thing I ever had. It don't matter what it is. So that's as far as food. If I can answer your question, that was a little complex, but I think you get it. And what was the other? My favorite. Favorite music, the same thing. If you look, it's the same way I explain the food. Literally, if you look at my library, like this morning I was listening to Sade. She's very slow R&B, very she's soul R&B. But like being a music producer, whatever mood that I am in, whatever vibration that influenced me, like I'll be very much in tune with what I'm listening to. That can be from Caribbean music to trap music to reggaeton. That could be, if I'm in that vibration, man.
That's what you feel.
Then it doesn't. That's what I'm feeling, man. But from what I know, and for the most part of me, to really specialize, answer your question, it would be a lot of forms of hip hop culture. I guess that's probably I listen to the most.
Yeah.
It's hip hop and a lot of J. Cole, Drake, a lot of people who rap, and go to those different sides of their emotions.
Nipsey?
And Nipsey's a huge one for me. Since 2010, I've been listening to Nipsey, and when he passed,
R.I.P.
That was really tough for me. R.I.P. Nipsey. And one of my campaigns for my videos I haven't released yet for my training was to his instrumental in the background, and it was much more. It wasn't because of a great lyricist he was, because it was the message he was communicating in his lyrics. But then, in addition to that, me trying to become an entrepreneur and build something of my own. That's why Nipsey, the last 2 years, had a much deeper and bigger impact to me, because I used to watch videos, me and my friends who were further in our education and our development of our mind. We would share a lot of Nipsey Hussle's videos behind the scenes of music and into his spirituality and his entrepreneurship mindset.
Yeah.
So I felt very much connected to Nipsey, and shout out to him again. But he's somebody, again, if I'm waking up at 4 a.m. to go get my workout in, if I really need to get inside of myself and to get the best out of myself, I put on my Nipsey playlist, man. So it goes back to whatever I'm feeling, whatever I want out of myself. Music will spark that for me. So that's how I approach music today.
For sure. Most embarrassing song on your playlist?
Most embarrassing song on my playlist. Shoots, I don't even know if I have some anymore. It'd probably be those ones that I want to listen to, but I'm like, I don't even know why I want to listen to. So it's like recently the most, you can call it embarrassing, but hey, it's that part of you that just says, man, why do I like this song? It goes, uno, dos, no tres, Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, this song is ridiculous. However, it is to the most. However, why I like it. It's so. I think a part of me thinks it's corny, but I think it's a genius at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So those. So I don't even know if it's like the most embarrassing, but it's like it's definitely. I laugh at it when I listen to it.
For sure.
But yeah.
And in your opinion, because if I'm not wrong, you're a right back. But in your opinion, who do you think is the best right back in U.S. history? Obviously, talking about soccer.
Yeah. The best right back in U.S. history.
Yeah.
I would have to say. Man, that's a good question. It's only because I never thought about it. I would say DeMarcus Beasley, but he's actually a left back.
Yeah.
He's an accomplished outside back for his age and what he's brought to the game. But I think, and then obviously Yedlin was somebody who I looked up to and I played against when I was younger.
Yeah.
Just because of what he's accomplished and what he was able to do
in a short time.
But I honestly don't. One of my best friends, let me tell you who, and I don't know why it took me this long to think about it. One of my good friends who we trained with and talked to, Nick Lima.
True.
From San Jose Earthquake. So that's my boy, man. And we'll be training this offseason together. But I think he wasn't underrated for a minute, but I think he's a very unrepresented right back at the moment. I think that whoever coach understands Nick will see that his potential to be one of the most dominating right backs, it's there for sure. I think Nick Lima was probably the best right back in America. As an American right back.
Yeah.
I think his capacities are
insane.
And just his his humbleness as a person. You don't really get to see too many people like that, and I think that's going to take him. It's going to take him outside the United States pretty soon.
Yeah,
so
for sure. Representing the Quakes too.
Representing the Quakes, yeah. And I'm not just being biased. I think I'm just I'm just happy. I'm just blessed to know this guy and to have a friendship with him.
How'd you meet him?
And well, we grew up as rivals, man, crosstown rivals.
Wow. Okay.
He went to Castro Valley High School. I went to Bishop Waddell.
Oh, you went to Bishop?
Yeah, I went to Bishop Waddell,
Okay.
and he was a football guy. I was a football guy.
Yeah.
And he was a little younger than me, but he knew me and I knew him, and we always had a respect for each other. And then we end up, building a friendship, and we always support each other. I think it's because we saw each other as equal. We saw a lot of similarities within one another.
Yeah.
So there's a certain respect that we always had for each other. And now, when I look at him, I look at me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's the future of what he's doing. It makes me happy today of where I am and where a lot of other people who come with those capacities.
Exactly.
So I'm very happy, and that's why I think the future is very bright, because he's a great example of the growth and capacity of what American and diverse Americans can look at. Because he's look at it like that's a big part of it. He's what America. He is America to me. Mm-hmm. So, shout out to my boy Nick Lima, man. Yeah, he'd be a great person to talk to, dude. He's a very humble. He has some some great things to talk about.
For sure.
With that guy. So, yeah.
Most definitely. Yeah. So I'm guessing now that he's been called up to the U.S. and the men's national team recently, in which he deserves. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you watched. He didn't play unfortunately yesterday, but I'm pretty sure you're keeping up with the U.S. games, like how they beat Cuba yesterday, 7-0.
Oh, you telling me? I didn't even know they beat Cuba 7-0.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow! Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's good for them. I think the most what I have to say. I think at this point, America has a unique crop of talent.
Yeah.
And now it's just about the quality of who's picking the talent and who's operating the U.S. national team. So I think we in nothing, there's no way in no form we aren't at the international elite yet. But to be honest, I believe that we've come because of what America is and how enriched we are in growing.
Yeah.
I think that we do have enough talent to compete with, the top 15 teams in the world. And going back to what I said, I more so believe in we have to. It's not about the players.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about the players, and and I think once we can, development happens on the player level, but also you have to look at what's behind that.
Yeah.
And I think until that levels out and balances out, trust me, you're going to see America rise, and you'll see more pieces put together in this puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only a matter of time, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to see that performance, but that's just my opinion about the future of the U.S. national team and the future of the U.S. soccer, dude. I think there's a long way to go, and that's a part of my my initiative and my purpose is to go deeper than just the American way of operating sports.
Mm-hmm.
It's you have to go back to what Europeans and not Europeans, but with the rest of the world in soccer. That's culture.
Exactly.
That's love. Yeah. Once you can realize you put pieces or puzzle pieces. Once you look at players not as assets, but you look at them as people, but you also look at them how they affect a game, mm-hmm. how their attitudes and their capacities affect the game. Once we have those people who can operate out of that ability to look at how energies are, like Pep Guardiola, like Jurgen Klopp. Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, you're gonna see the best strokes of American soccer, man, in the future, man, because you're gonna have those people to put that together. Exactly. And I think that's why America's so special, man. Mm-hmm. But it takes time. Yeah. It takes time, dude. Yeah.
For sure. And I'm imagining as a little kid, you said that your dad played for the 49ers. So was he someone that you looked up to?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think despite me not having, him moving back to the East Coast and I didn't see him on a regular basis, I can very much so hold a lot of negativity from that, and not to be honest. I mean, yeah, it's tough, but I looked up to him because, and very much so because I thought we were very much so the same.
Yeah.
And I very much so grew up in an environment that was about championships, and I was about winning. And he was somebody who was a part of that. So of course, coming to this world, I wanted to be like him, and in a lot of ways. So I think it pushed me to grow in a way to be an accomplished athlete.
Yeah. And
he has a charisma and charismatic personality that is very so like myself, and that's just a loving individual, and I think that could take you very far, but also in a sport that is very influential based, that can go different ways as well. So that's what you have to be careful about. So I learned a lot, from my dad. I think I learned what was necessary from my pops, and I appreciate him for all of those. For him being him, and I didn't have no part in that before me. So and now to be a part of, almost to kind of trailblaze in a path, but same path but different.
Yeah.
It means a lot to me, but also hopefully. I know that he feels the same way about me too. And we have a good relationship. So
that's good.
Yeah.
And then how you said that he played with Joe Montana and other legendary players.
Yeah.
Did he ever take you to a game and you in the locker room and you talk to these players and everything?
Man, so I wasn't. So that was late '80s. I wasn't even born yet.
Oh, you weren't even born.
I wasn't born yet. The only experience by that time in the '90s when I was born, and after that. So he was long gone, but what happened was, Roger Craig, who was one of their first string running backs, is somebody who stayed and lived in the Bay, actually ran track against his son. That's somebody, and we had the same barber, so Roger would always tell me stories about my dad when I'm getting my hair cut, so it's like I've heard, the people around here who knew my dad, would tell me stories because I was super, super young. I wasn't even, like I said, I wasn't even born yet.
Okay.
But by the time he was in the thick of playing, and his career was very short, so I have no recognition, and I wasn't even here yet. So, but the stories, I always get the stories. The stories I get the good ones and the not so good ones. So, so it allows me to paint my own picture,
For sure.
Which is cool. Yeah.
And then if you were to have a dinner with a legendary right back, who would it be with and why?
Oh man, I would want to have a dinner with Dani Alves. For sure. He's just somebody who, now looking at it, first, I wasn't the biggest Dani Alves fan.
Yeah.
But he is a right back, just kind of like Marcelo, and they're both Brazilian. But and go back to Brazilian culture, he is somebody who's himself, and he's somebody who gets to make whatever he wants out of that position.
Yeah.
Literally, you're right. Literally, and I just he's not the most defensive, and I'm more so defensive. So there's a lot of backs that I love for being defensive, but just for the pure aspect of him truly making the most out of that position, through his individuality going forward, and just his tenacity, even when he tries to defend, is pretty amazing. And I think for his age at this moment, I'm like, dude, Dani Alves is a pretty unique person I would love to talk to, because I watched some of his interviews before. He's invested in, he's in a band, or he invested in a band, and he'll have artists come over and perform. He's a musician too, dude. He's very creative outside of music, and it makes outside of soccer, and it makes a lot of sense. When I saw this, it was an hour-long thing, and and I really respect him. So I would love to sit down and have dinner with this dude, and there's a lot of other ones too. But I think Dani Alves because like I said, I don't really have a lot of favorite like players.
Yeah.
But the way I looking at it now, it's like Dani Alves is something special about that guy.
Yeah.
You know.
Most definitely.
So. Yeah.
For sure. What are your dreams that you still want to accomplish?
Just trying to build on what I'm doing now.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes beyond just playing. So ultimately, when it comes to playing, just trying to be, hopefully to build with professional soccer here in Oakland.
Yeah.
So to be a part of the past of what soccer and the development of soccer has been about American, because I'm as raw as it gets as far as development and what that looked like and to what that will look like in the future. So I've kind of was basically to make that more clear. For me to be drafted to a place in MLS where, trying to nurture and develop talent was just fresh, and then moving into going everywhere overseas or going out through America and trying to get somewhere to stick in here, I got to go through all the emotions that came with that, of being professional and developing as a professional, and how difficult that was. And then up until now, being a part of the growth of American soccer, and being a part of the development process and the coaching aspect. Now all of that is meeting itself into this, into the same linear path. And one, playing, if I can continue to grow with my club as a player, then that's great. If I can continue to grow with my organization as an ambassador, that's more powerful.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing still, in the community and all around the community, every part of the community in the Bay, to say, hey, this is who I was. I played club soccer. I played academy soccer. I wasn't held up on the biggest pedestal, but I made the most out of it through my work ethic and through love of the soccer. And then on top of that, creative design. I feel like whatever comes of my story, but through the story that soccer has led me, making that a novelty and sharing that in various ways, whether that's through music, whether that's through storytelling, whether that's through a podcast to talk about certain subject matters.
Yeah.
That's how to pull it all together, so I can share that to my community, to normalize the game, but to normalize the culture, to make opportunity out of dreaming.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm just continuing to build on, and that's where I see myself going. Who knows what that will turn into?
Yeah.
No, but right now I'm blessed to be involved in a lot of future developments of soccer, but just of development in general. So, and as far as the cognitive pieces and the mental health pieces, one of the biggest for me. So, I'm just like you. We're at where we need to be, and I'm blessed to be learning and to be a part of it all. So, yeah.
And if you could tell us your favorite show that you would watch as a little kid, do you remember?
Yeah, man, I remember those more than I do anything, because your imagination as a child is
bizarre.
Which is bizarre, is what you need to hold on to.
Yeah.
And so I remember those things. For me, it was Rugrats. Rugrats, man. They made an adventure to make the Magic School Bus, Rugrats. They made an adventure out of anything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you look at it now, you're like, all they doing is going under the bed with dust bunnies. Yeah. But then back then, we were in a whole nother world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's the fact that, you able to make the most out of anything.
Literally, yeah.
So, and I'm like, dude, why did I love Rugrats that much? So they captivated me and others. So they did something very special.
Yeah.
And that's why, I loved all those Nickelodeon. Those are the classics. Cat Dog. I literally just bought a shirt 2 weeks ago because I saw that it had most of those shows that we just love. Cat Dog,
Ed, Ed and Eddie.
Ed and Eddie, man. Just like the raw stupidity, but also creativeness of those guys.
Yeah.
And to be honest, dude, like I'm like, man, where did all that stuff go? But but I still look at SpongeBob.
Yeah, SpongeBob, of course. Yeah.
Hey, right,
Yeah.
SpongeBob,
Yeah.
right, and so yeah, man. And now I just watch shows that kind of allow me to get into other people's worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Like it puts you into other people's shoes. I really don't watch too much. Like I said, as much processed reality TV.
Yeah.
I more so watch TV that's more documentary style TV, or focuses on like a special subject matter,
Mm-hmm.
that captivates me in a way of thinking, and that's what I kind of draw myself to. So yeah, because I love to learn and love to kind of see how it feels like to be in other people's shoes, so I can have a different perspective.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
And then through the various different teams that you've played for Oklahoma, for Tucson, and even starting with the Quakes, and even before the Quakes, and now with Oakland, do you have a favorite teammate that you've had?
Man, I've made some of the dopest friends on all of those teams, and that's something more than anything. I look back. I still have connections to at least a person from each of those teams.
That's good.
I still, out of all of those places, even going back to Muma, so I'm walking in.
Yeah.
When I first see him again, I'm like, dang, that's when life hit me. Like, yo, like I'm blessed.
Yeah.
As hard as Juan, as hard as it's been. Like we could sit here, we can go deeper into like, how difficult and how many times I'm about to quit, or I've been around 18 to 20 teams, and what I'm saying, the one that hasn't, people don't even know. But when you see stuff, like when you back on teams with those people, or you like, dang, it's a small circle, it's a small world.
Yep.
And I think the importance is when you see those people again in the same locker room, they say, wow, man, you kept grinding. You kept working. So it's almost like you came a long way. And that's for every, as you go into the communication world, it's like when you start to make those connections, I think that's what's so awesome about it. So there's no one person. There's obviously individuals who I stay connected to.
Drogba.
But I mean, yeah, but there's my roommate last year. We got really close. He's Zach Lubin. I think he's about to probably hopefully get the Golden Glove for Phoenix Rising.
Wow.
We got real close, man. Like he's a Leo. He's like another brother of mine now. And all my closest friends all were my teammates. One's in London, one's I just got off the phone with. And my other one's in the East Coast building in a company of his own, and I played with college with.
Yeah.
So soccer, that's what I'm doing. That's why soccer.
Special.
I say soccer chose me is so special because it's
connections.
It's connection. And look, it's connected me to you. So
exactly.
That's what I do. I can't lose. I can't lose. The sport goes long after I'm done playing, dude. Yeah. So it's beautiful. I just want to share it to my community, to be honest.
Sure.
Just what it could do, just like what it's doing for me and you.
Yeah.
So
for sure,
it goes outside of playing. That goes outside of playing, man. It goes way outside of playing. It really does. So yeah.
That's good. And obviously you're a right back, but if you could name us the hardest forward that you have encountered.
Yeah. The hardest. I have to acknowledge Didier just because he's so damn smart. But then I realized that he was a center back because one time I looked at. Here's the one thing when I play small sided, right?
Yeah.
I play so much out of instinct of defense that it becomes my offense, right? And there's one play where my team was on the bumpers, and Didier, he knew it was like 3 seconds before the ball was even like about to cross the goal line of the opponent he was playing, but he got there and knew that the ball was going to get there. And I'm like, only true defenders like Draymond Greens and Vidic's and those types of defenders do that. I'm like, how the hell did?
Yeah.
And I said, dude, I was like, hey, you knew. He's like, bro, he's like, he's like, people don't know. I was the center back at first. Like, I was like, So he's when he plays.
Yeah.
It's not because he's big. Trust me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of big forwards that's easy to defend.
Yeah.
Physically.
Yeah.
But
he's strong.
He's strong, yes. But he sees as if in a center back eye, in a forward's eye. Wow. So I try to. So he already knows what the defender wants to do. So he's just being deceptive. He's just literally making you say, okay, I'm here. But in his so, I mean, did he, like, marking him a forward, but then also on top of that, back in college, man, Patrick Mullins was pretty tough to defend. Patrick Mullins, he's solid, and that was when, because I was smaller, but like I was pretty tenacious, but he was just something so solid, and his effort, man, was just relentless. Now it makes sense. You know why I smile when I see this guy score goals in MLS? Because I know exactly how that felt. Like I knew when I played good forwards, I knew it, because there's one thing I'm gonna be. If I can be anything, if I can put my ego on the pedestal, it's about my defending. That's one thing that I'm actually not afraid to be. I guess you can almost say cocky and arrogant about, is my defending. And Patrick Mullins was a problem. And he's just somebody I did not like to play against, dude. And but yeah, man. And number 9s are different. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If you ask me about wingers, that's a whole nother different story too, because those are but number 9s, it's like there's only, for me, to be honest, there's only a few number 9s that are like, I'm like, oof, they're a problem. I see why. And that's Didier, Patrick Mullins, Billy Schuller was from North Carolina, was pretty creative, and then and then I feel like I'm missing one, but playing the ACC, you know why? I playing the ACC was like playing the MLS at a young age. Yeah. And I was on a team that was defending most of the time, so I literally loved it, kind of, you know. Even though we found ourselves winning big games and then losing a lot of close games. Yeah. I love defending the best on week in and week out, and that's what I got in the ACC, and that's where my experience come from. Because at 18, I was defending like some of the best cats in the game, and then I think, you know, and that's, dude, those those couple of guys, man, pushed me. So
for sure. And then what did you do with your first paycheck? Do you remember when you first got it? You know, what did you buy with it, or what did you do with it?
Dude, shoots. I mean, to be honest, my first paycheck, I had to, like, I just let it sit there, man, because one, it wasn't a paycheck. I thought that was going to be, oh, snap, like, I'm getting paid a lot of money. But it was like, even though how little it was like to see, like, you know, I didn't have to go work or do a different job or go work behind a desk. So to see a paycheck, like going to get a paycheck in my locker room after I'm playing, was like, oh shit, I got that for playing soccer. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was like the more dopest feeling than the numbers, because obviously especially at a certain time, like, I can go and work, like, and be miserable, like, and do something I maybe didn't want to do at the time, and make close to that money. But then after 2 weeks of training, I'm like, oh shit, I got that money from, like, doing what I love. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what hit me the most. You know, and and now when I get it now, it's kind of more so. Like the paychecks I'm getting now, it's nice to know that I'm continuing to do what I love. Yeah. And I get rewarded, you know, from money, but also, you know, more than that. Even if I was getting, like, you know, a bigger check, I think I'll still feel the same way, to be honest. Yeah. And and for me, like, when I get my paychecks now, it's funny, like, I don't immediately go spend it. I put it right back into
savings.
My savings, my investments in myself and my businesses, and then and I put it back into my service of myself and others. And I think that would have, if you asked me if I was in a different predicament where I got a lot of money at a young age, you would. I think for my family I would have been level-headed, but I would not have been thinking about what to do with my money, from as little as check that was to as big as, you know, to the you know, the bigger checks. Yeah. Like, now I don't think about how can I get something that I want. I look at, how can I make the most out of this, or what can I use this for, in my company or my health and my wellness, or, you know, an investment. Mm-hmm. You know, because To be honest, Juan, like, dude, I'm 27. You know, I'm in the peak of my like career, but like, you know, you start to just think much bigger than just like, okay, how can I, you know, use this now? You start thinking about the future more so, you know, and that's something that we all do. So I'm probably the same way you probably think. So that's what I do now.
For sure.
But when I did my first one, I did to kind of end it off, just because the fact that it was like not even a big check, and it was fairly small, but the fact that I got one,
it meant a lot.
It meant a lot. So I did have to celebrate, and I bought me a couple pairs of shoes, man.
Hell
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Hell yeah.
That's because I've been wearing the same ones for a minute, man, and I was like. I'm like, oh snap! I was like, all right, man. I think I'm cause first like I wouldn't do anything with it because like you said, I had to save it, and then by the time you know that smaller check was gone, I was like, but I was like, dang, I think it's okay to get some shoes. I remember like calling. I'm like, hey, I think I'm gonna get something, you know.
Some Jordans, some Air Forces.
So yeah, that you know, I used to do nothing but Jordans, man. But dude, I think more so just like the sneaker, like Air Maxes.
Yeah.
Just like more so the more casual, unique looking shoes, you know. Now, so and then a couple of shirts, dude. I do like aspect of fashion. And that's another part. Like since I don't kind of invest, like I don't put a lot of money in my fashion, but when I do, want to treat myself, like I love, you know, getting some nice quality pieces of just shirts and just shirts and pieces like that, you know. So. Sure. And if the money grows, then probably you see a little more unique pieces in fashion. So, but yeah, that's very often, man. I kind of don't get too many things for myself anymore. So,
sure.
Which is important, but it just
doesn't happen often.
It doesn't happen too often, yeah.
And then when you first signed professionally, was it with Tucson? Or was it with Aguiluchos?
So well, those are because Tucson now is a professional. It's I guess it is sanctioned as league because it was PDL when I played.
Yeah.
But that now it's just like League 2. So whatever you want to call it, I don't really know what. But what were you saying? What were you saying? What was the question?
What was the first professional like contract that you signed and like you got the paycheck from?
Well, really, to be honest, Oklahoma City was like where I saw money. You know what I'm saying? Where I actually saw like a paycheck.
Oh, okay.
You know, so yeah. So Oklahoma City in 2015.
Okay.
Yeah, because other than that, like Quakes, since I didn't sign for a full season, I just saw like I got from a week to week, I didn't get a salary, you know, so. But OKC was when I saw like my first like paycheck, and I was like, oh shit, like that's what you gotta pay. That's when the full professional paycheck was real for me.
Okay, for sure.
It was Oklahoma City, and then going out to Norway, and then Tucson was different than it is now.
Yeah.
So it was different than it is now, and that structure was different, and then Phoenix was. Yeah, it was the same. We got paid there too. So, But yeah, man. But yeah, Oklahoma City. So 2015.
Okay.
Yeah.
For sure. Do you have any ritual before a game? Do you pray? Do you listen to music? Do you have anything?
Yeah, music definitely. I definitely listen to music, and I always still get. It doesn't matter unless I can wear music until the whistle blows. Like I wish I could, but because I still definitely get anxiety to some extent right before.
Mm-hmm.
But music for sure. And I just think about. I meditate a little bit more now, kind of just not even meditation, but affirmations, and whatnot. And I kind of try to really just get into the present moment.
Yeah.
I really try to breathe and listen to my breath a lot more now. Because music. It gets me in a good vibration. However, I found that the more I started to just relieve myself of anxiety, which is calming my breath and getting those sensations dealt with, then I'm kind of more relaxed rather than just being a buzzing type of feeling. It's a little different. you can use both, and that's important. I use both, but
Yeah.
the two different types of relaxation methods, or how to approach, being calm or being ready, I guess you should say.
Yeah, most definitely. And then how was it playing for the Quakes Academy? If you could go in depth of that.
Yeah. Well, to kind of correct you there, I mean, I was
side?
right before Quakes was Academy, because it's same GM, so John Doyle. It was Mustangs Academy.
Okay.
So I was at the birth of Academy in general, and then before the Quakes funded their own academy, they once they funded their own academy, that pretty much. So in a way, I was at Earthquakes before, Earthquakes Academy. It was Mustangs Academy at the time.
Yeah.
And that's why they ultimately drafted me there, because I went there with Tommy Thompson. He was the first homegrown.
TT.
Yeah, Tommy Thompson, the boy. And so for me, I didn't have because then Nick was the second. So for me, in my heart, I felt as though that pick for me was like was a homegrown pick, but on paper and through legally I wasn't homegrown. That's how I've always looked at it. And it made sense because Tommy, he only played actually only a few games, and they I remember him telling me that, and he was like, "Yeah, I only played a few games," and then next thing you know, he's a homegrown talent, So,
Were you?
So yeah,
did it affect you or no?
No, I wish if I was a year younger that I could have been, if I would have played like a few games, because I played Mustang Academy, but if I was a year younger and they didn't have Earthquakes Academy when I was there.
Okay.
The year after they finally got sanctioned as Earthquakes Academy, and then John Doyle went over to Earthquakes as the GM of Earthquakes actually. So.
Yeah. How was it training with them?
Dude, I mean, it was what you imagine. You know how you watched
Wando?
not to the how I don't know if you saw Gold. You saw the movie Gold?
Yeah, of course.
So obviously not to the materialistic version of that, but the same feeling. Like, I'm like, oh, snap, I'm here. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I definitely was, looking at my mindset, I definitely was agreeing. I definitely was a rookie. I definitely wasn't, you have young guys come in and really almost be mature. Like, looking at myself, I can honestly say, like, I wasn't, I definitely remember being in meetings, like, now I know what they mean by green. You know what I'm saying? Not just the speed of play, not even the technical aspects where I had to develop, but it was more so how I seen how I walked into that scenario. And I'm a pretty, looking out, if you look at me, like, oh yeah, he's a strong, confident guy, but and I am very much so, but the honest reality was when I did be in there, I had a lot to adjust to, and that's, like I said, that goes to more so just of what I coming in there and thinking everybody's equal. Yeah. So in a way, so were you starstruck? Sure, to a certain extent. Like, I wouldn't say starstruck, but I had to ground. I didn't ground myself as quick as I thought I should have. You know, and that's all of that for me. That's the most important part of a young player making that that hop there, and I think that's why it's important to be developed. Because I think a couple of months there, being able to ground myself and know that I belong. I think that a lot would have happened different. In addition to a lot of resources and things that could have been put in place. So, like I said, it was just the timing of it is what it is. And I'm just glad and blessed that it's continuing to be developed, so kids who come from the same development path as I am have time to be nurtured, and not just physically, but mentally as well. I think that's the most important piece. And so that's how I kind of look at it now. So.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then how is it being traded or like even being bought from a different team when you're a free agent? Like, what goes through your mind? Are you excited or are you pissed that you're being traded? Because it's all part of a business. Yeah,
exactly. You said it right there, business. But you really understand that because you're a player. When you are a player, you're in your own feelings.
Yeah.
All you care about is playing, so you don't really know the operational side of things until you're able to learn about it. You're able to you have to ask questions. You have to learn about it and able to understand it. But even then, even if you don't do that, you have to understand that is a piece of the professional industry. So for me, at a young age, looking back remember that San Jose, when I went from, they just had the U23 program was new. They were trying to operate that under the earthquake. So that was the time for me, for them to develop. And I was the first draft pick because Tommy Thompson and J.J. Corval, that's when they first had established a relationship with Sacramento Republic. And that was something that before I even drafted, that was something that was, looking at it now, that's something that they were already committed to. For me, was different. I was somebody said I was a homegrown player, but since I didn't have the sanctions under Quakes at the time, and for what they wanted to build at the time, they said, all right, I was the first player to be the face of their U23 program, which really didn't have as much, looking at business, didn't have as much connection. And then you have to look at the season that they had. It was one of the worst seasons, besides the one they had last year, it was one of the worst seasons they had in franchise history. And so you have to look at those elements. And when at that time, when you get cut and you don't make it, you're like, oh, no. But you have to kind of understand the business side. You have to understand where the organization was.
Yeah.
And for me, I would say, hey, that's a part of that was just happen. I just, it was the timing. I wasn't there at the worst time, the best time, but I was very much so blessed. And I'm thankful for John Doyle and the organization for drafting me. That was a dream. That's literally all I ever dreamed of was getting drafted. And as a kid, I said in my mind, I want to be. I remember my junior year, I was so ambitious and caught up in my dream that I thought I would possibly might get drafted in my junior year. Like, not knowing that you have to be contacted and you have to be, I'm just, that's how caught up in my dream. That's how much I believed in that. So when that happened, I'm like, I was the 66th, and talking about, we won't go into the spiritual astrology of 66, but I was the 66th, and my number is 67. I was the 66th pick, in the draft out of a pool of 325, but then on top of that, many others. So just that alone, because I can complain about what Quakes didn't have and this and that, but I came with not having a lot either. But I got so much out of being drafted. I validated my mind and my manifestation of a dream and believing and faith. So very thankful for that, and that's what I was supposed to be thankful, because if it wasn't for that moment, that resume builder, that being drafted, pushed me into a lot of opportunities after that.
For sure.
And it made me, and I was blessed. Next, I'm over here talking to Wando, man. I'm talking to, some of the, it was crazy. Muma, man. I'm like, yo, this is real. So that moment alone, that's all I needed. Like, hey, I didn't end up getting signed, for the full season, but that,
you got the experience.
Like, I got the experience, man. And I was able to be a part of a U23 team, the first and only one they had, and that had some studs on it, dude. And I was able to be. It was an amazing experience for what it was, and I'm truly thankful for that. So,
Any particular conversation that you still remember that you might have had with Muma or Wando, or any soccer player?
I did.
Any good memory?
Not too many. Like I said, Muma he didn't have that. He still did with much English as he did then and now. I just remember him after I was dead after some running, right? Because all the guys knew that I could run, though. Like, all the veterans was like, dude. So, and being as young and foolish as I am, I let that go to my head, and we had a second day, and I gasped. Even our GM and, our people were like, came out to see me run. And my foolish young self went out the gates, and I literally almost passed out, and I couldn't even finish. So those are some of the most embarrassing moments I think about. Like, obviously, I'm not going to over-personalize, but I'm like, I can't believe I, ran like that. And I barely had enough. I remember they had to have the medical staff come over because I was so tired. Like I said, talking about adjustments, I'm one of the fittest guys and talking about adjustments. I just remember how foolish I was. and I had to the med staff had to come over and like because I was literally about to pass out.
Wow.
And then I remember having to do a defending drill, and I remember Mooma was like, "Come on, man! Like, what's going on with you?"
Yeah.
And like Jordan Stewart was there,
Yeah.
and it was, Jordan Stewart, and but one of the talks I do remember, I had some pretty interesting ones with Bingham, during some of the preseason games, and just because he's already was a decorated young American goalkeeper, and he has a lot of confidence behind him. So it was definitely being my first experiences with having the conversations.
Yeah,
was with Bingham, but the best ones I've had was with probably Didier, dude. Oh my! I had so many with this guy.
I bet.
I even have some on my phone.
Yeah.
But the best ones were the ones I didn't record. But this man, he's a
legend from Africa.
Legendary. Other than that, a lot of other ones have been like with some of my previous coaches.
Yeah.
I mean, Didier is probably the only player who literally I had some of the dopest conversations with. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
A little kid from Oakland. Did you ever imagine you would have gone to many places and be in the place that you are now?
I did.
Wow.
That's why I'm a believer to keep going in depth, dude. That's why I won't. Some people can continue. I can be weird to some. I can be, but I hope not, because my whole life I was junior class president. I was involved, so clearly I had an ambition. I had an ambition to see the world in a different place, and I believe everything that is going on now, like that's exactly what I believed it to be.
Yeah. And
so the fact that I'm in it, when I was the first signing, and it's not being the first signing, but to be a part of this and to be front and center with an organization, nobody can ever tell me that the power of belief and faith is not real.
Yeah.
That's all I have to use to bring myself back. In addition to all the little stories that we've gone through.
Yeah.
Like now, like being drafted, like I tell you, like before being drafted, I was at my mom. That's to go off a little tangent, but it's a good story. I was living with my mom in Jack London Square before going back to school to finish my last semester. And my mom's a realist. I'm telling you, she's a very much so realist, a realist, and she's been through a lot. Very strong, courageous woman.
Yeah.
And sometimes to others, you don't want to hear what she has to say.
Yeah.
And at the time, I definitely didn't. But I was grinding, and she's like, "Well, you got to start doing this and that." Like, you don't. For me, I was like, "I'm getting drafted." I was like, "I know that I am."
Yeah.
And I felt at the time that nobody believed I was going to get drafted.
Wow.
Not even my mother. My mother believes in me more than a lot. But the way she was speaking out of just pure, realistic and saying, "Hey, don't get caught up in that belief because I don't want it to hurt you." Yeah. However, to me, I still remember that moment because it for me, I was like, man, you don't believe what I believe, but sure enough, so I was like, I believe it though. I know. Yeah. And that's the only thing I wanted to focus on. Yeah. And as soon as I'm driving back up to school and I hear this and that, and then next thing you know, my like brother-in-law calls me and he's like, "Dude, you got drafted Quakes," and I'm like, yeah, but I went off tangent there. And that goes to show, yes, I believe 100%.
That's good.
What I'm doing now is what I believed in. And because I told my mom when I think I was at a Raider game or something, I said, this is, like, I saw it, me being a part of that. I didn't know how. Yeah. I didn't know what. But to see what we're doing now, oh, my goodness. It's truly amazing. I think that's why I come with so much emotion, and it's because it's almost it's almost unreal. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So and I think me and you see it like that because we've been embedded in the culture, not only in this community but in the soccer community here in the States, and it's almost like because soccer is finally being brought up into this American and into this part of the California,
Yeah.
and it's something that me and you've always known. Like
Yeah.
I've my friends, my Latino friends, my Caucasian friends, my African friends who's from Oakland. Like I was a black kid who played in all the team, Lobitos, Santa Clara Sporting. So for me, this is like something that it was something that I've been living,
It's normal.
and now it's normal, right? It's normal. Because when I play soccer, like, dude, my community was like, what you playing soccer for, man? Why you not playing football? Yeah, so I'm like, literally. Then that's a whole nother thing, as I continue to grow, I get to share.
Yeah.
Because I literally was like, why are you playing soccer? When I played football because I was good at it, that was hard for me as a teenager to have to deal with that because I would play both sides. I would try to be like, but soccer, man, it was just like, dude, I was like, but then people respected me because I was a good athlete, though.
Yeah.
So that always helped because I was a good athlete.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it was, that's a whole nother obstacle. I think as a teenager, that was tough, man. But like I told you, it's something special. Soccer, I just couldn't stop playing. Stop playing it, man.
For sure.
But yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now, present 2019, Oakland Roots. You signed with
Oakland
the
Roots.
team in your hometown. If you could talk to us about how did you end up signing with them, and if I'm not wrong, you basically being like the face of Oakland Roots.
Yeah.
How is that?
It's definitely a dream come true. I think I asked for it, this sort of light and attention, and for everything positive that comes with that.
Yeah.
But I understand the responsibility that has as well.
Yeah.
So that's something also that I'm taking on, that I'm proud to take on. Is basically not just speaking it, but acting and walking that.
Yeah.
Whether I'm on the field or I'm not on the field. So it's something that I've dreamed of doing 24/7, not just walking, not just transforming myself to be an athlete, but now I get to be this person I've always wanted to be.
You believed it.
Believed it. And that's the way we're marketing and identifying ourselves as an organization.
That's good.
So it's like, that's why I signed up ultimately, because after Phoenix, we were, the best. Well, we lost in the championship, but we were pretty much considered this new dynamic, in Didier. We were this team. And even after that, like after our coach Patrice Calderon left halfway through the season, like the guy Didier brought on, he's the greatest coach I've had.
Wow.
And he talked about belief, and if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have started half the season and got the notoriety that I did.
Wow.
And things changed after he left to a different opportunity in pursuit of his ultimate goal. And they asked everybody to come back towards the end of the season. The season didn't go. The end of the season didn't go the way for our team and for me individually. And I wanted something that was going to allow me to do what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
So I left. I knew that I wasn't going to be the first defender again. I was going to be, and that's something that was a part of me. I wanted to feel fight for a first spot. Wanted, yeah. And that's, you said it right there, wanted. And I knew I wasn't going to have that as much as I had coming in. And so as soon as Benno, and I knew I've been a part of this project 2 years before it had begun.
Yeah.
And that's where I met Idris in the city of Oakland. And because for me, that's why I know, like, I was a part of this before this group blew up.
Yeah.
This is who I am before. That's why me and Benno had a connection and stuff like that, because I'm authentic.
Yeah.
And so when I was driving back from Phoenix, and this one of the conversations that Benno told me just the potential and how we can, and for me, I was always trying to get back to the West Coast, because it was either between here or at least one thing I knew I didn't want to go back to Phoenix, but I would at least be it was between here and working, at least training and fighting for a spot in Sacramento.
Yeah.
Sacramento Republic.
Yeah.
So, but the more that I talked to Benno, the more that I saw what I could do outside of just trying to length outside of just trying to what's best for my career.
Yeah.
This was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
You know, I was proud. Even like I said, the responsibility. I was more so blessed and saying I wanted to take on the responsibility outside of being a player.
Yeah.
And that has been very challenging.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a challenge that I'm so grateful for because I have to learn. I'm not just a player anymore.
Yeah.
This is not just about me thinking about just me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it comes, like I said, it comes with a lot of learning. However, you know, it's a great opportunity. And for me, I think I just want to see this grow and be a part of the growth of this game here in Oakland and in the United States.
Sure.
So it's like, you know, whatever I could do to support that, and learn from. And the club has given me a bunch of resources for me.
Yeah.
And that was a big part of it. Like they know how deeply involved I am in coaching and development and mentorship.
Yeah.
And, you know, they providing me with just more than just have an opportunity to play. Mm-hmm. So I get to learn from a new organization and I get to grow. So it's everything that I wanted. And it's very, very, very difficult. I'm not even going to lie to you. And, however, it's I wouldn't choose it. I wouldn't choose otherwise though. So
were you literally the person that started Oakland Roots?
No, Beno Nagel and Idris.
Okay.
So they already had started this project.
Yeah.
So they literally started this project, and 2 and a half years ago, Idris, Beno, we had a meeting or two.
Yeah.
And that's when they just had a board. You know, when you develop ideas, you start to begin to build. Yeah, start small, then you start to begin to build the potential investors and people who are on with your vision.
Exactly.
You know, and that's what he was just sharing with me. I used to look at the presentations he would have with these different groups, whether that's the realtor group who visualized the plot of where the potential was going to be, or simply just visualizing the potential front office for something like this. So just to see that in like PowerPoint presentation, that's when I became involved, because I was very much so just involved and I only could be involved as far as an ambassador.
Yeah.
So I think Beno knew how important that was and how true I was to that element of it, and I think that's what fit the identification of our branding. So a lot of people see me as one of the creators. That's only so because I am I pretty much am a representation of how we want to identify ourselves, and that's just true authenticity.
Yeah.
You know, but no, Beno Nagel, I was not the creator of it. I'm just a piece of
core piece.
The vision. Yeah, exactly. And I say that's one part of the responsibilities that I took on for my community. And listen, Juan, I'm gonna continue to, and this is something I took on our responsibility, and it's my responsibility to make sure that I advocate and I speak to the truth of what needs to continue to go well, but also what probably needs to develop,
to be better.
And to be better. And that's the knowledge that came with being coaching and developing. Because if I was just a player, I only would have value to what I know as an experience as a player. But I've failed so many times in the American system, but I've coached years. So this is a perfect opportunity, Juan, because I get to speak what I get to say. Hey, listen, this is how, because I know how the club wants to identify itself. I know what direction we want to go through our community. Yeah. But also I get to speak it because I'm a player, and I get to see how it all connecting.
Exactly.
So that's why talking about the responsibility, and that's what I signed up for, these hardships of being the beginning process of this.
For sure.
So it's like I said, it comes difficult, but I get to be a part of how do we grow and how do we remain solid, and how do we get better. Exactly. And it's development. Yeah, for sure. And And maybe, who knows in the future, who my position might be. But like I said, however I can better my community. Because sometimes that might not be, that just depends where, for me, it's all about being the best place I can bridge my community to opportunity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
For sure. What are your goals with the team, with Oakland? Because I know, if I'm not wrong, this is your first season.
Yeah, this is not even the season, if you ask me. This is the first introduction. But technically, on paper, yes, it's a season. Yeah. But it's not a season. It's more so a test run.
Yeah.
Next year will be a full flight season. That's through my player experiences.
Okay.
You know, this is a test run.
Okay.
Experience is a 10-month season.
Yeah.
You know,
because this is what, 6 months.
This is a 6 months in the club. And you know, in the club, this is a great learning opportunity to have a 6 month, because a 10-month, a 10-month is tough, man.
Yeah.
You know, 10 months, you don't imagine that you have to go through 10 months of adversity, you know, and every club does every year. Mm-hmm. But I've been a part of, for a bit, for the beginning, I was, you know, I got to, again, be a part of a first time franchise when I went on trial to Reno. Yeah. And I saw, you know, I'm not even from Reno, but just from a pure player going into something new.
Yeah.
I felt how some things they did well, but I also got to experience how I really felt disconnected with being just the professional aspect.
Yeah.
So I think that's important, man. And so that's why I emphasize, you know, this is very much so a season, but I think this is going to launch us into how we can grow and get better in a full season. I think that's when we get to see that this is going to be a full season, because you have to have depth.
Yeah.
You have to have depth. You have to have a 25. You know, you have to have a lot more. It takes, you know, it's a lot more than what people think, but this is a good starting point for sure.
Most definitely. Yeah. From when you show up to games and from the locker room, who do you think has maybe the worst fashion from the players?
The worst fashion.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, shoot, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say who has the worst fashion.
Yeah.
The best fashion definitely would be Julio and Pale. Mm-hmm. And Coach Larry, man. Larry be trying to come in, you know, with some drip.
Larry Jackson.
You know, Larry Jackson. But so between Julio and Pale, those guys stay freshest. Mm-hmm. Other than that, most people stay casual. I'm as casual as it gets.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? 9 times out of 10, I'm wearing flip flops and I'm relaxed. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, but you know, we haven't got to see let's go out to a team function. Let's see who's thinking about. I think that's when you really get to see, which I haven't really saw yet. But just based on locker room, appearance, mm-hmm. you know, there's certain guys. My gosh, you know, those two guys stay fresh, and then everybody else got their own level of casualness. So,
Sure. How is it representing 5'10"? Obviously in Oakland, in your hometown. How is it representing that?
Man, it kind of goes back to just, you know, the responsibility. So I feel like the Black Panther in many ways. I feel like, you know, Damian Lillard playing for his own team. Mm-hmm. I feel like Juan, who's a basketball player from Castro Valley, he's on the preseason roster for Warriors. Mm-hmm. So I feel like how these guys are feeling right now. So it's like a responsibility. It's a certain pressure, but it's also a superhero type of accomplishment. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So it's all that comes with it. You know what I'm saying. And I feel like you know, it's my duty to uphold that, not just for my own individual, you know, wants, but it's more so for the kids. Yeah. To you know, to make sure that it's not just fake. That it actually, how do I get them there with hard work? But how do I get them there the same way? How does Ajax to get their talent, their local talent there? You know, so I know that I mean more in that aspect than just what they see. You know, because I don't like to be a part of something that how you are what you see, or what you see is what you get. So I only want to be a part of is what you see is what you're going to get, and not nothing else.
Exactly.
So if I can continue to do that and for my community, then I feel like I'm doing my job. If I can't, if I'm compromised, then I feel like I have to come at a different angle and just stay true to who I am, and just so the future has a better opportunity. So that's it. So
talk to us about the diversity in the team. There's a couple players from Africa. There's some Latinos. Obviously there's Americans on the team, but it's a good representation of Oakland. Because there's a lot of diversity within the community. But if you could talk to us about that.
Of course, this is the most diverse team I've been a part of was Phoenix.
Yeah.
Part of this, before this, and I think that was a huge part of the success and just the chemistry. Was just a mixture of personalities that's included in diversity and the top of color. So I think, this team is extremely diverse, and that's part of the identity that we believe in is diversity. So, and like me growing up, it's like the Latino community is strong in football, and it's like that's something that you must recognize of how important that is to the Oakland community, because some of the greatest teams I've been on have been mixed, but for me, it's like, I can't imagine a team without a Latino presence. I can't imagine a team without a couple of our Caucasian presence. So the teams that I remember growing up in the Bay was a mixture of all of those, and that's how I see it. That's how I grew up as. I never saw it as just one race or one thing. And so for me to see Oakland roots, to try to, and all players, you never discriminate and making sure, or just looking at, this roster's not balanced enough, or this there's not enough of this here, So it's not just making sure the percentages are balanced, but it's more so of looking at of what color mixes well here, and and not just off the strength of pigmentation, because I truly believe, look at Pep and Guardiola, and that's how I see Oakland. I see, for me growing up, Latinos have been very dynamic. It's a natural genetic, it's a natural IQ trait that something, so a lot of my favorite players, in the middle of the field and those parts are Latino. And that's my own opinion, and that's what I believe. And then when you mix that with these capacities here, might be African or African American or Caucasian. When you mix those together, and that's the color, that's what Pep Guardiola does the best. Nothing's perfect, but you're going to have the best, the well orchestrated symphony. And I think that Oakland is strong and can be, once you, like I said, and I told you, I think I forget what question you asked me. Once you figure out, we're talking about the U.S. System. Once you figure out how to really paint that brush and maneuver those pieces, oh my goodness, then we're going to be, I feel like the future is bright, because you're going to look at then we have an Ajax on our hands. We have a development process, even beyond these players in the locker room. There's kids just in the East Bay, and then in the outskirts, in the whole Bay Area, that are like, people are going to see, oh wow, there's a lot of talent, but not just recognized talent that gets filtered out and then some go to San Jose, some goes here, but we're coming from the same proximity, and that's what Ajax has. That's what Ajax, they all come, majority of those products, they have the highest percentage of talent, that high quality talent level in that proximity. And I think that's what, I think at this point from all the pain and suffering it took from these dynamics to happen. It all came from pain and suffering and sacrifice.
Exactly.
But look what football can do.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? If you know how to piece it together the right way. And so for right now, we've put it here, And now we got to get the strokes and the maneuvering.
Yep.
And that's the responsibility and my voice and my advocacy is about, and about how and who is managing those colors, because that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because if you don't know Oakland, if you don't understand Oakland, if you don't connect, if you don't see Oakland like that, then that's the only way you can operate this crest and the people who play for this crest.
Yeah.
So I think that's the future. I think, and then we're on to something great here.
Yeah.
We're going to continue to develop that, and I'm just blessed to be a part of that, man. Whether I'm playing or whether I'm advocating in the community and advocating to our presidents and speaking my mind, because that's one thing that I'm going to continue to do until I see otherwise.
For sure.
So,
and then obviously, having Oakland roots as a team in the Bay Area, Delta's disappearing, unfortunately. There's Sonoma Soul, SF Glens.
Yeah.
But how do you make sure Oakland roots won't disappear like it happened with Deltas? Because that was unfortunate, and winning them the championship as well.
No, it was. And another one of my closest friends, Ali Muhammad, Richmond native, talented. Yeah, you probably know who he is. Another great guy. You interviewed him? Oh, great, man. You see, that's why that's my best friend, one of my best friends, my training buddy. He's my business partner. And now he's on, I think, for me, one of the most talented teams in the USL. He's experiencing similar to what I experienced last year.
New Mexico.
So New Mexico, very dynamic place, and so to answer your question, it's everything that I said, and a lot of the questions that you asked previously. As long as we brand and market ourselves, and how creative and how different and unique we have done that, and that's come from the authenticity of the people behind it, right? The Edris, that's having an owner who's not just financially, who's not just a mindset of a lucrative mindset. That's not, he's culturally lucrative, you know what I'm saying? So, but he also understands the financial realms of investment. So we have an owner who's a little bit more knowledgeable of all those aspects. So then you have a creative design, marketing, and then you have our president who's these are all people, especially, our co-founders, they're Bay Area, they're from Oakland.
Yeah.
So as long as we continue to value and have perspectives from those core beliefs, and people and even our owner's not from Oakland, he has lived in this area and obviously has an attachment to this area.
Exactly.
Therefore, he is rooted. That's why he took on the role, because if you take on people who just have a resume, who can get things in a direction that might be linear, but it might not be the direction for us.
Yeah. Right.
So if we continue to maintain that identity,
you're good.
Then we can. Then there's opportunity to maximize and optimize our growth.
Yeah.
However, like I said, that is the challenging part, because when we're growing, so people a lot of excitement. So now we get to test the true authenticity of the people who we've brought on and to continue to grow how we want to be, how we want to go. So that just because we've done something well already, this is only the beginning. The true test is how do we continue to overcome this resiliency? How do we become to stay grounded as individuals and and collectively?
Yeah.
And that's how you get, in many ways, to me, American teams haven't even done it.
Yeah.
That's how you get an Ajax. That's how you get Barcelona's academies.
Yeah.
That's how you get Inter Milan. That's how you get the best. Yeah, that's how you get those. We're not even there yet.
Yeah.
We have breached the surface in the aspects of marketing identity. But I think that, like I said, we have breached the essence of how to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm basically saying, if we stick to that 50 years from now, like I said, it's hard.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna do my best. I know Bendo, I know Edris, I know everybody that we have is gonna do our best to try to remain who we are.
Yeah.
And if we could do that, you might just see the closest thing to those atmospheres as possible.
Yeah.
And guess where you see that? You see that in Oakland Raider games, the black hole, and you see it in college football games.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about I'm talking about Southern. I went to the school I went to.
Yeah.
Then, other than that, you don't see that anywhere besides NASCAR and all in the Grand Prix and stuff.
Yeah.
You don't see that, right? So that's what that's the long-term goal. Mm-hmm. But you have to start off with the seed.
Baby steps.
And I think the baby steps, man. So if we stick to that, if we stick to our identity and good. The people, we'll be all right. Mm-hmm. So I think, I'm going to be optimistic about that. And I think, we have a ways to go, but brilliant start.
Exactly. Most definitely.
Yeah.
And then have you ever thought about opening an academy in Oakland, to possibly help younger kids that want to be professional soccer players like yourself? Have you ever thought about that?
Definitely. That's already a seed that's been planted through my organization, mm-hmm. My training organization, and my other teammates, Johannes Harris and his business partner, the Goose. These are two, what we're trying to do, because you have training, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times, soccer training and practice, it's very much so, it costs a lot of money now and privilege to play.
Yeah.
But also when it comes to train, that's also not the most, it's also nowadays pretty expensive to train as well. So we have to culturally grow it to the point where kids can just pick up a ball and play in the streets and play outside every day, keeping their creativity rather than just saying, what am I doing after school? Oh, you got to go to soccer practice. Mm-hmm. Because when you can change that aspect of it, it's become something that's created out of, not by force, but out of love and out of, the same way I picked up a basketball and just went outside and had nothing to do. When you unconsciously think about picking up that ball all the time, then that's when if you can get kids doing that more rather than saying, oh, I got soccer practice. Yeah. Oh, I have this.
You have to want
it. So I think you have to want it. And I think back to the truth, my point is I'm definitely working towards that because I know Roots and the local clubs around us. So like I'm very much so tied to East Bay United and mm-hmm. some of the other clubs that are in the Bay Area to grow it. But ultimately, the way that I see development and methodology now is, that's why I'm building something of my own and my true belief in development mm-hmm. and working with other clubs, but most importantly, building something eventually where, hey, I have an academy that feeds to whether that's Roots or whether that's whatever clubs I believe in. Who knows? Whether that's, who knows what that is. Yeah. But that is in the process, it's a part of the plan. And I think, and there's other individuals who see the same mindset. So, and for me, I think that's the only way is to continue to be involved in the growth of the culture here mm-hmm. and to get everybody involved and participating recreationally and supportively in the community. And then you get more of these diverse athletes, connecting and being, because for me, I have all kinds of sorts of friends. And until you can get all these different types of personalities and genres of people mixed together more naturally, then you're going to get more of that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So right now, to kind of in a nutshell and to finish that question off is the more and more I can develop the culture mm-hmm. and through training and through, like I said, novelty. Mm-hmm. Then we're doing that. It's working towards that process, that endpoint you're saying, and mm-hmm. eventually open an academy where, boom, it's being ran by nonprofit money, so kids don't have to worry about that. Because as long as we're here, and kids are starting to move more outside of these, because the cost of living is high, so we have to fight with that aspect of it too. Mm-hmm. Because ultimately, academies overseas, these kids are getting paid. These kids aren't paying for anything. Yeah. We have to go find these kids who those parents are sacrificing for those kids to go to those academies. But eventually, you want to try to do something here where we go find these kids, we go find these diamonds in the roughs, and we give them an opportunity.
Exactly.
And then based on their attitude development and based on that, the sky's the limit, man.
Exactly.
So,
for sure.
yeah.
And then obviously, if I'm not wrong, you guys are in the NISA.
Yeah.
But what do you think has to be better in this league?
I mean, it's new. I mean, there's that's why it's like you can put your finger on so many things that needs to be developed on. And for me, I don't really have the knowledge to exactly to thumb through what needs to be.
Yeah.
But I only can have an opinion from my perspective currently and the knowledge I do have. So I'm not like I said, I can only imagine from a different perspective of what that is. But from my end, it's just kind of not, for me, not making it about, making more in depth into building the community first, So it's like you put this league together so people come out, but it's like, we do that every week, every once a week or every twice a week, whatever teams are in the league.
Yeah.
But it's like, what are we doing to provide outside of just people coming to a game and to support this new league? You know what I'm saying? So, and like I said, I'm pretty sure that they have a whole committee for that. But unless the priority and focus is on that, you can't just expand by putting more teams into it.
Yeah.
You have to expand. And this is something I'm pretty sure they do. You have to look at who, why. I mean, that's part of the application process of expansion is the community and the resources behind it. But then it goes down to who's selecting and why they're selecting this team. Is it because there's more resources, or is it because they have a community, or is it a balance? We don't know. I don't know. And that's the knowledge I don't have.
Yeah.
But you can always see the truth and results by the people. Mm-hmm. And right now, this is new. So this is something, Juan, that we have to continue to monitor. And it's something I'm going to keep on because it's the first year.
Yeah.
So I can't have a judgment. I can have a very somewhat fragmented judgment of it because this is year number. It's not even a full year. This is a half year. Mm-hmm. So, but right now it's just being able to not expand in the rate of financial success, but more so cultural and community, success. And sometimes for me, the best way to do that is not by expanding at all. You know what I'm saying? It's by creating creating a message and trying to deliver soccer that way. And I think NISA is actually doing that by we've taken the European model. Mm-hmm. So I think the first thing they did well is by saying, hey, we're going to operate in the way that we believe sports, or the way we believe that should be operating. That's how we model the European system. Mm-hmm. And I think Liga MX does it similar. So if you ask me, they're doing it, I think, the more opportunistic way, to be honest. I think that's, other than that, the regular bumps and bruises is going to come. And I think that's what we're experiencing. But I think just the model that they're taking is very, very much speaks to the sacrifice that they're willing to take to make that cultural change that we're talking about. And that resembles the model, how they built, because NASL was very similar, but it folded due to everything around it. So this is kind of rebirth in that model and trying to build something that's not, so much American soccer model built, but nothing to that system. But ultimately, if you want to create a league, one of the best leagues in the world, you have to create it from the purest part, So that's not me being negative. That's just me being honest from somebody who comes from, who sees in the lens of what true, of true creation and love is. So it's, and that's the culture of the sport. So, you have to honor that. If you don't honor that, then you only can be so successful.
Exactly. So. And then the funniest and shyest player on the team?
Funniest and shyest. The funniest, man, is probably this young kid named Ariel. He doesn't even know he's that funny, but just because he's young and he's very how do you say it? Yeah, he's very confident, so he's very funny. I think as a young kid who like I enjoy to pick on, and because he's young in this environment, and but besides the young kid Ariel, my boy, and also another funny character is like Pale's really funny. He just enjoys himself, and whatnot, and Amuma's probably one of the biggest clowns, man.
Jokesters,
guy, he's a jokester, dude. I should have mentioned him first. Yeah, Amuma's probably the overall the funniest dude, and then one of the most shy. I would probably say
Jack McInerney.
Jack definitely shy, man. Jack's for so shy, but when you get to know Jack and he's comfortable, like he be saying some stuff that you be like, wait, did Jack say that? Yeah, him and there's a couple of handful of shy guys in there, but yeah.
You watch Netflix or FIFA?
Man, I used to be a huge FIFA player, man. But Netflix, yeah, I watched some Netflix shows and whatnot. But I used to be a gamer back in my day, man.
Not no more.
Yeah, not directly playing. Yeah, I did just because I spent so much time.
More important things to do.
Everywhere else, it ain't more important, but it's like that was one way to put myself in a different, not even a reality, in a different dimension. What video games were, because that's how video games were for me. That's how I felt playing them.
Yeah.
But now I get to do that. Through building my own methods to try to create those types of realities, but not through gaming, if you say. So, try to make that like a really deep meaning and connection there. But it's not that I have better things to do. It's just that I want to create just like people who created that game now. So I find myself doing that through these projects and writing and doing in other ways in music now. So it's like, it just... when I do, it's like it's funny because earlier this year I bought a new Xbox, but then me and my girlfriend ended up returning it. I was like, I didn't want to end up returning it, man. So, just because I knew I easily can get consumed in it because it's definitely a reality that I definitely don't mind being in.
Exactly.
But yeah.
For sure. And then I'm guessing you're a Raiders fan. I am as well. Talk to us about the 3-2.
Yeah, man.
And also, I'm guessing you're an A's fan.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Raiders fan, so I definitely won't be as... I won't have the same type of feelings when they move to Vegas. Because that goes back to just, the whole aspect of not loyalty, but remaining...
faithful?
Yeah, they change identity, essentially. They change location, but also if you cared, not even if you cared, but if you understood, the culture of Oakland, you wouldn't want to try to, redirect that. And not to say there's going to be some authentic fans that go who say, you know what, it's changed, I'm going to go with it.
Yeah.
And me, I think I said Oakland, because when LA made that change, LA has been the LA Rams before.
Yeah.
But that's fine. I would have been fine to be in the Los Angeles Raiders again.
Yeah.
Like as hard as that, but the thing is, I see the difference between of taking something away from somebody and relocating something, but still remaining the same. I would have been okay with that. But the fact that we going to Vegas into a whole different mindset is that's where you lost me, because just like we talk about soccer and culture, you cut that part, that true belief of self, you cut that part off, because now I see the true colors behind.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna support the Raiders, but I'm not gonna support the organization behind it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the difference. So I'm more so a Niner fan when at that point, I'm more so of a LA Rams fan at that point, and then and then there's all teams who resemble that for me, like an Eagles fan, something like that. And that's what sports is to me. You know, that's how I feel about the Warriors. That's why I'm still a huge. Even though they moved to the city, you know, at least they try to stay connected to some extent to the town.
Yeah.
Some may beg to differ, and it's still hard for me. But at least it's like, all right, they didn't consider moving to Las Vegas as well.
Yeah.
Maybe I think the A's. I heard a rumor that they are considering that it's a rumor, but you know, at least the A's are doing what they can, and I think the city, you know, should try to stay connected to these different outlets of entertainment. You know, it's important to grow that part, and city shouldn't just think about monopoly and all that. You know, it should think about how we can create opportunities and how we can recreate, you know, minds at this point. So, you know, and that's why Roots, you know, I'm trying to, you know, that's why Roots is a huge part of it. But Oakland A's fan, for sure.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I said, I'm a Raiders fan for sure, you know, especially Gruden's back.
Yeah.
And, you know, but yeah, it's like, and I'm going to continue to be a Warrior fan as well.
Yeah. To finalize the interview, Devante, if you could talk to us about signing autographs for kids and taking pictures for the fans. How is that? You know, being recognized and everything.
Yeah. It's definitely, it comes at you as surreal. Like even the other day, like I didn't have any Roots gear on, and somebody riding a bike. I was walking my dog, like Roots, and my girl looked at me. We both looked at each other to look like we had Roots gear on.
Yeah.
But we're getting it, man. So you definitely get some type of like. That's when I recognize it. I'm able to soak it in, you know, which is a part of it too. But other than that, I honestly don't recognize it until, you know, until I see the kids, until I see, you know, myself surrounded by people who look up, you know, to you. And I think that's what it's all about. Even no matter what team I was on, I was one of the last guys coming off the field. I was one of the guys who were doing the community outreach because honestly, that's when I felt as though I couldn't necessarily get the recognition on the field. Mm-hmm. I would make sure that I'm connected to the kids who believed in those opportunities, you know, who believed in us, those players. So I think that's what it means to me when I'm giving my time, my interaction and autographs and pictures to those kids, because at those moments in time, who knows, that picture might and that autograph might get them through something and might spark something within them that allowed them to go on to that next chapter in their life. The same way that soccer and those influential people is done for me, you know, and that's the core of it right there. So it's like no matter what loss, no matter how far you're caught up in your ego at that moment, it's like we owe those kids and those families that respect. So I think that that's when I look at it like, dang, you know, that's when it's surreal, and I love that recognition. But it's something that like I forget because I know that it's a part of my obligation to myself and my community. So remaining who I am, you know. So
for sure. Well, thank you so much, Devante, for your time. I know it was a long interview, but I really do appreciate your time and for your wisdom that not you only gave me, but to our viewers as well. So I wish you the best with Oakland. I want to see Oakland Roots hopefully in a couple of years playing in the MLS, and thank you so much. I really do appreciate your time.
Well, I appreciate your time, Juan, and if any interview is going to go up length, you know, it's, you know, we have that's a good thing. If you look at Joe Rogan's, he goes hours. So.
Yeah.
Energy is very, very it's you know, it's a good energy. So that means I already know I really feel a great way about the energy that you gave to me and in the direction that you're going, and that's how we better you know, how we want to better others. So this has allowed me to lift my spirit, and I know we can share this. So I really, as much as you thank me, I thank you for having your dreams and aspirations and inviting me speak and to be involved in to whatever your dreams and ambitions are. So I thank you, man.
Wow, thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Take it easy.
All right, you too, Juan.
Thank you.
Take care, man.
Thank you for watching my video. If you guys could share it with your family members and friends, that would be much appreciated. To all the people around the world who watch my videos, thank you so much. If you could like and subscribe to my channel, I would love that a lot. Until next time, thank you.